Man, till this day, I feel like even wherever he at right now, RIP, big homie, he knows what's up,
Mm.
We had a lot of conversations about it,
Mm.
man. Even before dropping the song, I played too.
One, two.
Yo, what's up? This is MT. You're now watching everything SA Music. Keep it live. Yes, sir.
Okay, we ready, ne?
Yep.
Okay, MT, bro, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to Everything SA Music.
For sure. Shout out to you guys for having me. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Let's start. So we just wanna start at the beginning. Like, can you just tell us where you were originally born and how did you come up as a youngin?
Well, originally, believe it or not, born and raised in Johannesburg. Obviously, throughout the course of my life, I was in and out the city. Obviously, to go home to my daddy. That's the only life I knew. Joburg, my daddy. So that was my life, like till this day. Obviously now we've grown to expand ourselves and see other places. But yeah, before MT, that was the only life I knew. And yeah, city or the village life. Yeah.
So, in between Matatiela and Joburg, which of your relatives were in Matatiela and which ones were in Joburg? And why would you have to go? Hey, you're doing a Cyril on us, ne? A young Cyril. Yeah, but like, who was that side and why would you have to, juggle the two when you're growing up?
Matatiela is my home of origin. So, there's my grandma, my aunts.
Oh, so your parents are from there?
Yeah,
okay.
Originally, yeah. So that's where my roots go all the way back to.
Where in Joburg were you though specifically?
In the city.
CBD?
I grew up in Berea. So I was running around Hillbrow, Yeovil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story at the park. Were you also robbed there? The park in Berea.
No, I was never robbed at the park, but I grew up going to the park.
Oh yeah.
That's the lifestyle, really.
Who was at the in Berea? Like, who did you stay with? Your pops or your mom?
In Berea, I lived with both my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's where I went to school, Banato Park High School.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like, you tell us about like the young MT, the one which was in high school. How were you in high school? Were you very closed off, introvert, or were you outgoing as a person?
Well, in high school, I had different personalities.
Yeah.
I've always been an introvert.
Yeah.
But in high school, I was basketball player, rapper, marimba player, choir.
Choir?
Yeah.
You in the choir?
Guys at the back.
Yeah. Well, as a guy, you sort of always at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the tenor is this side and the bass is this side.
So tell me, how did you audition for choir? Did they like pick you just in J? Like, you look like you can sing? Oh.
Nah, not really. Me and my homies were just playing soccer outside the school hall. We just heard them sing and we just thought of going in there just because we were being troublesome. I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about like your early music days. What interested you in music and what made you think this is the route that I want to pursue with my life? Like, who were your influences? What did you catch on from an early age that made you say, okay, music?
Well, it was, for me, I've always sort of grew with the times and appreciated everything that happened within music in my life. When I was growing up, a lot of child stars were doing their thing. So that
Mzambi.
yeah, Zambi and Sawawa, Bow Wow.
Sure.
So it was that era. So me seeing those guys and me being that age as well, it was like if they can do it, I can do it type thing. Or I was just motivated by seeing them, young as they is, going on these world stages and not being afraid, and from that time on I understood and learned the importance of this craft, and that's where I learned that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still do it.
So who supported you at the start in terms of your music? Because like being an artist is not like the most popular thing to a black household, I would say.
For sure. Well, there were not so many people who supported me, in the beginning. But I wouldn't blame them as well, because coming from where we come from, it's like that dream is too far-fetched.
Definitely.
So it's like, come on, man, gotta think.
Something just like
Yeah.
that.
Sure. Like
For example, a lot of people I grew up with, and right now they're doing like regular jobs, stuff like that. I can't hold it against them because we have to survive and make ends meet at the same time.
So do you bump into them regularly and they say, yo, you did it, like you actually did what you say you're gonna do?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. Sometimes, because the city is not that big, so a lot of people I went to school with, I still see them to this day. Some of them don't see me, or some of them think I don't see them.
But you know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that always comes back. Memories of back in the day. And I remember every encounter. That's what I don't care. It's like as soon as you sort of are bubbling under and you're heating up and people are starting to know you, it's like people start to think that you have a short memory or something.
Yeah, they think you forgot about them,
Yeah.
or you think you're on now.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. It's weird, but I always knew it would happen. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about, okay, now where do you meet like the ATM guys? About Raf, about like how does that come about? Where do you guys meet each other? How do you start creating music together?
Well, I met Raf, Java, and the rest of the gang, during, the course of me trying to become, so growing up I used to always go to Raf's studio, which was downtown in Jersey. So I started going there when I was in high school. So I just go over there, see other guys do their thing, like established guys. You could bump into absolutely anybody you could think of, I used to see people like El Tito at that studio.
Sure.
I saw Briggs one time. I saw Pro, so I love is someone that I always looked at as like, he's really doing this thing.
And he's in the industry.
Yeah, so all those people that used to come there, I sort of never really intimidated, but always felt that I should prove myself to them, so they see me and notice me and understand what I do, how and why. So yeah, man, it's always been there, as a mentor musically.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm also an aspiring producer, so he's someone I look up to when it comes to production and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
he's crazy, yo.
Yeah.
So your journey there, meeting all those people, how did the ATM, I would say,
Collective.
as a collective, how did it start? Like, how did you guys start saying, this is us and this is what we're gonna call ourselves?
Well, it's crazy because it all came about through, triumph and you know, hard times, because how I got closer to rap was because, you know, at some point in my life I had nowhere to stay. So I would come to the studio and, you know, would speak, me and some of the guys, and they knew my situation kind of thing. So
Sure.
one time Ralph was like, yo, come through, come stay with us, whatever. Even though it was just a 2-bedroom apartment, and
Sure.
I felt like, alright, it's gonna be even better.
Do you think it was because you were actually good on the mic, which is why he was like, you can actually come in, or was it just as a homie, regardless of your talent?
that also played a big role, because I take this very serious. When I want to go, I want to go. There's no
So he
stopping.
saw that.
Yeah. The hunger, not just the talent, but also the hunger and
Definitely.
the will.
Mm.
Yeah, I was hungry, you know, trying to get out my situation too. So, yeah.
But like when they say empty the hustler, the first thing that comes to my head, I think of, you know, those American movies, and then that guy in the corner doing his thing, you know, and
Yeah.
just making ends meet. So, like, was it like a real thing that besides the music, you had to like make money in not, I would say, the most legal forms?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, you know, when you don't have a lot of streams of income,
Sure.
and being from the hood and growing up around, you know, you grow up to just go for what's reachable,
Yeah.
what's, you know, on site. And for me, I ended up doing a lot of uncomfortable things to make money,
Sure.
you know, but I don't regret none of it at all, because
And you didn't get caught.
no.
You went that free.
Mhm.
That's the best part.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for that. I'm happy I'm no longer doing it, and all I can do is tell the story about it now, and hopefully it inspires the next kid not to do it, because
Definitely.
they might just, you know.
But like looking back, when you look at the people maybe you were around there, would you say a lot of them are not with us right now because they continued in that life? Like they just continued. They didn't like stop.
That's a dope question. I feel like a lot of people like I sort of grew up with didn't have a lot of options. You know, so that's why for me it was, if I didn't become MC the Hustler, I don't know where I'd be at today, really. Probably in the same situation that a lot of people that I grew up with are in right now. You know, so yeah, man. Back there, it's like it's not even a surprise. It's like you just
We're waiting for everyone's time.
immediately understand it and move on. You know?
There's a song called Malando, and
And the album.
yeah, but I'll specifically speak about the song because it kind of tells us a story of somebody that, you know, would be some sort of, I would like to think,
A mentor figure.
mentor
Like
slash
a big brother
bro
type, yeah.
For sure.
in a situation where there's not much people like that. Like,
Yeah.
who was he to you, and how did you guys meet? Like,
Well, you know, he was like my big homie, you know, at school, even around the community and stuff. So he's actually someone who inspired me to get into marimba. Yeah, so I started playing before I even got to high school. So by the time I got into high school, I was already just bumping, you know. So he was the person teaching me and grooming me, stuff like that. Even with just life, you know, because even after all the lessons, we just have talks, one-on-ones, and talk about plans and, you know, sit and plan the next practice or the next set or whatever. And I was very serious about it, so everything he told me I did. Yeah. So he was that kind of dude. And back in the day, you were respected if you could fight. So he was one of those guys who could just
Who could fade, yeah.
Yeah.
They could have shared the whole school.
Yeah.
You know those vibes.
Miraculously, like he always did those kind of things, and he was like well respected in the hood. Like since we were school kids, there'd be like gangsters around the hood, like they're known, like yeah,
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
man,
so
I
sure
know
he
I
played.
really, yeah.
yeah. So he was that kind of guy. Yeah.
And then what happened to him to be in that situation? Because when I watched the music video, it kind of tells a story.
Yeah.
Like for him to be it ended, him getting shot, and I think him passing away. What happened to lead up to that? Was he like facing a lot of community issues that people were going through that people didn't like? You know.
I don't know really the main reason why, but according to my understanding and from what a lot of people said back then was the fact that some people were looking for him and stuff like that, and yeah, he was just into a lot of things. He was just getting involved in a lot of street stuff. At the same time, trying to be a community activist, you know, and those things don't really
Yeah.
go along. You know, this side you have the community that really love you and appreciates what you do, but then there's another side that sees you as a threat. You know, so I think it was that kind of thing, because even as we were growing up, he was always that guy, you know, somebody was always looking for him. And when they find him, they bump into him and he would like deal with these problems.
Damn, on the spot, yeah.
So like, what did you pick up from him? Like, what have you learned through the period like you've been with him?
Like, you know, stand up for what you believe in. You know? Like for me, like a lot of people may think I'm just a trapper or just a hip hop guy, but overall I'm a musician. You know?
Definitely.
Because when I look back into times where I was involved in choral music,
Yeah.
school band,
Sure.
I consider myself a musician.
You take all those aspects and bring them all together.
Yeah, for sure. And just I implicate all my experiences into, you know, the recording process, which I have my man Ralph, who sort of knows how to handle that aspect very well, you know. So yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, what actually inspired you, like, for your first lead single and the whole album to be named after Mana? What inspired you to say, I'm gonna base my whole project of him as a figure?
Well, you know, of course, a lot of people weren't happy about that, because there were some people who didn't like him. Some people were thinking, just trying to use his name for hype and stuff like that. But we had a relationship that nobody knew
Yeah.
about. I mean, we meet every Sunday, practice. After practice, we would just sit and talk or play some more. You know, that's where I advanced my skill and became the best player. So even after he left,
You
I sort
continued.
of, continued and I broke more records. Just picked up from where he left off. So,
Actually wanted to talk about, like, just like the build up to Roll Up. Did you actually feel like, okay, now my blow up is coming, you know? Like, what was the phase like let's say the 6 months prior to when everything changed and like Roll Up is out and now you are everywhere?
it was weird because, believe it or not, I sort of had like 4 official drops of the song.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like every time I was just trying. Okay, let's try again.
Was it
Let's
like
try
on different platforms or the same every time?
different because a lot of these platforms were coming in, like SoundCloud. It just came in.
Mm.
Then you had these other ones that are now, So when I found out there's another one, like, okay, let's drop it via
Sure.
a new platform or
You
whatever.
believed in the song, ne?
Yeah, type thing. So we had like different covers, and then the last time was when we had the video finally,
Oh yeah.
and then we had the deal, and everything was kosher. So when we dropped it the last time, and the video was airing, and I sort of already knew because every time we dropped it, like it did new numbers,
Sure.
and reached new
Heights.
New heights.
peoples
Oh, okay.
every day type thing.
Sure.
What I remember about the video was just the dab the whole time.
The dab. Yeah.
Because he kind of popularized it in SA.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
The dab and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Sure.
But then, even with the song, like, what was going on between you and WHP for you to have that line that you said, what you said in that line?
Man, till this day I feel like even wherever he at right now, RIP, big homie, he knows what's up,
Mm.
We had a lot of conversations about it.
Mm.
Man, even before dropping the song, I played too, and I broke it down,
Oh,
Sure.
there was nothing like hectic, like.
Nah.
The general public thought it was like
Like,
this or something like
Yeah,
that.
so people sort of like hyped it up and went south. So, hey, it is what it is. It was no form of disrespect whatsoever. I feel like one of WHP's biggest songs was Bosso Gima, and adding that was just saying, hey, we see you type thing.
Oh yeah.
So wait, so you're in the phase where you are ATM now. How did you get to the point whereby you met with your previous record label? How did you meet them, and what were the terms and conditions that you guys?
I met them through big homie JR.
Oh really?
Yeah,
He stays plugging people.
Yo,
no?
JR, yeah.
yeah. So
People didn't know that. They
yeah,
were
he
like revealing new
contacted
stuff.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he contacted me on the social media and stuff like that. And
Also, he discovered you. Is that what you kind of say?
I feel like
not
technically-
really.
Not really, but like.
Or he was like he was scouting for talent, and then he found you.
Not really. He just found my project on the.
He found it. He was the first person who was in sort of power in the industry to find it and then do something about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
type thing. So he came into the studio, told me he heard the first DIY that I dropped. I think it was 2013 or something like that, or 14, I'm not sure. So yeah, he told me he heard that, and he liked it. And he came through to the studio, which was in Jersey, downtown. Yeah. It was like, there was like the trap type thing. So when he was in there, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a dope moment. He liked the music and told me he wants to introduce me to somebody. And
And then.
the rest
Okay.
is history.
So I want to know this, but did you like, as a collective with Java and Raf and everybody, did all of you go to the label at the same point? Or was it like a different situation for everybody?
Yeah, definitely was a different situation for everybody. Even though by default we sort of all
Ended up there.
gravitated towards the label because of the amazing work they were doing at the time, and yeah, man, it was a dope time to be alive, if so to say.
It was so dope to witness it all, just like the fresh new energy in the game, you know,
Yeah.
the trap sound, and you are bringing like Zulu and like local sounds to it too, while it's still an international like sound, you know.
Sure.
Ah, that was dope.
So tell me, like, I would like to think that I only found out about the record label after you. It's like you kind of blew it up to be taken seriously because you are the biggest artist at that time, and that's like, I feel like I want to use the words, you kind of carried it on your back because you're the what's this, flagship
Yeah.
artist there. And like, would you say the same, like, in terms of you bring it from somewhere, like in terms of the period you were with them, like taking it to a certain height? Because after that, I feel like they stayed on that point and getting more artists in that space.
Yeah, man, I still, no disrespect or nothing, but I still feel like, you know, I'm the biggest artist that has ever come out.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's no question about that actually.
Yeah.
And just like the impact.
Yeah, so, you know, and the other day someone was asking me if I feel like they really bought awards, this, that, and the
Yeah.
third. In my mind, I'm like, if they bought them awards, then let them carry on buying it. You feel me?
I feel you. They can buy them now. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if they were buying them back then,
Sure.
it was worth it. I mean, every album, hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Let's just, okay, so now you're at the end of your time with them. So from that period to the period where you're alone. So tell me, how was it going through that period, and what made you decide to say, I want to do my own thing?
You know, I've always wanted to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when it comes to, you know, when you collaborate with people, there's always sort of a clash
Yeah.
as to, hey, but I want to do this. And it's like, no, hey, but we are thinking, then you're like, no, but this is my route. It's always been my route or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I feel like there's always clashes, especially between two household names.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and I feel like, you know, when I just genuinely feel like when they sort of came in the picture,
Mm.
they always sort of felt like I could never be greater
Alone.
or better, you know. So for me, I've always sort of been a hard-head type of kid, even though it was always for the good. But it's always just to make sure that things are fair and even, you know.
Yeah.
So when I felt like things were no longer fair and even, and I wasn't being, you know, treated right and stuff like that,
Mm.
that's when I just point blank decided,
You wanted to be the main priority, as you deserved.
well, not really. I mean, just for work to carry on.
Oh, so you felt like some things were changing and you were taking a bit of a step back.
Yeah, and I learned at a later stage that, you know, it's a game that they openly like. Yeah, work an artist to a certain point. But when they get to a certain point, that's where it ends.
Sure.
Mm.
Oh,
To
yeah.
take it further,
Mm.
or else, you know, artists are crazy, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's what they all say.
Okay, then let's shift into MT Records. Because I was wondering, okay, you're gonna call it MT Records, that means it's mainly you're gonna be the main artist.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I found out about Flash. I'm like, okay, now this is, you are discovering people from scratch, you know, it's
Yeah.
like you're putting in the artist development work.
Yeah.
So just talk to us about like finding him, and you probably have other artists too, but he's the one that has kind of like blew up into the scene so far.
sure.
And that's like the formation of the record label.
Yeah. MT Records, you know, was established in 2019. by myself and my wife and my team. So yeah, we have artists such as Flashy Kumkani. We've got Lolly, who I feature on Brand New Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now, just those two guys.
Oh, it's just them two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, going forward, by God's grace, I want to do more, sort of discover new artists and keep the ball rolling, really.
So, I mean, like, you coming from a previous situation where it wasn't the most comfortable towards the end.
Yeah.
How do you work with other people so you don't become your oppressor,
Yeah, that's a dope question. But I don't know, man. I feel like it's all just natural and genuine. If it's natural, genuine, and it feels right on both sides, then why not? And if there's respect and on a level ground of mutual respect and just wanting to work, I think that's the basis of a relationship with music, really.
Sure.
And those are the kind of things I never really had before, where someone really values my opinion or my advice and stuff like that. So I respect their craft, they respect my intuition, so it's that kind of relationship. And yeah, man, I like, this is something I love doing as well, besides being the creator of the music.
Yeah. Artist development and stuff.
Yeah.
How did you discover your two artists?
Yeah,
Like,
Flash, because I'm a huge fan of Flash. I don't want to
Yeah.
so can you just touch more on like how you discovered him and like how did you guys meet?
Well, Flash has always been someone who's, hardworking, determined, and, just hungry. So throughout my journey, I've always been seeing him, whether it's at the shows or at studio sessions and whatever. And one day, a friend of mine introduced me to him, played me his music, and I was like, alright, this is dope, who is this? And then he told me, it's like, oh, I know this little homie. I always see him at the sessions and stuff. Do you know him? It's like, yeah, I know him. Right. Bring him around. Let's hang out, vibe, whatever.
Sure.
So it's always been that kind of thing where I would just hang out with them and just play music, to a point where I was like, alright, man, let's solidify this relationship or whatever we got going on. And yeah, here we are.
But then I want to know, like, because the fact that he's signed to MT Records might mean that people will associate him with MT, like for the longest time in his career. How are you gonna make sure that it's not like he can also be his own person without you having to be mentioned all the time?
Regardless of how a lot of my endeavors turned out, I feel like there's a lot I can still teach. And I can still advise and sort of lead him and other artists the right way,
Sure.
I don't really have much. I always say this, at times maybe all I might have is my experience and my knowledge. And Fletch is somebody who takes that and uses it, and I feel like in the long run he will become his own,
Sure.
brand, his own, So our relationship is not binding and stuff like that. So even if he were to feel like he feels he wants to sign to another label or whatever, that's still open because of experience, as I said.
What you have been through.
Yeah. Whatever whatever, glitches that I saw within my situation or whatever I have experienced, I try my best to do right on this side.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then I wanted to talk about just like all of the experiences that you have had in the industry. Do you feel like when you were going through certain patches in your career, do you feel like the industry turned against you, and then when you were at your highest, do you think like they were all on your side too?
I mean, I feel like those situations always take place, even with just life in general. Like, for example, you work your ass off to a certain point, and like for me, for example, even when everyone thought I was like, yeah, at the top of my game, I still felt like there's more to be done, and I never really was worried about how people see me or how I look to people. My thing was, hey, I'm a musician and I'm here to make music, If I was gonna tell y'all, if I came here for looks, I was gonna work on my body.
Yeah. Sure, I would rather be, yeah.
Yeah. So it's how I always looked at it, and I feel like that's one of the things that carried me through. I've grown to not care about people's opinion about me because, hey, I've made myself, the target by becoming this.
And being on the top.
Yeah, off top, I'm just a target.
Really? So being a target and you rubbing shoulders with other artists, it's like caused a lot of talks, like the back and forth you had with Casper back in the day. It was, I don't know where it started and why it got to that point.
Uzenzi score. They killed me. But you can finish your question.
Yeah, so like what actually started it and why did it actually happen though?
See, for me, I feel like that's all it is, really, just an exchange of words. It never gets to a point where it's really, really serious. And
So you guys even at shows, you pass each other and like nothing, no weird altercation or weird looks at each other.
Have you gotten into an altercation with the rapper?
yeah, a few times, but most of the time it's always somebody trying to do something and
Fast pass.
never,
Sure.
succeeds or goes how
You
they
stop it
plan.
immediately.
I don't stop.
I feel you.
I don't stop.
You get your peoples, yeah.
So, I won't throw anyone under the bus, but yeah, I've had a lot of encounters, yeah, confrontations, and yeah, man, it just never goes their way, man. So,
Yeah, but like speaking on the other, when it came to thingy, what do you think really started it, or you don't know till today with you and Casper?
yeah, I still don't know, man. I still don't know because even like in the beginning of my career, I always paid homage where it's due. If he drops a dope song, I tweet and say it's a dope song, whether
Sure.
we get along or we don't.
Yeah.
I tell him, yo, it's a dope song. He gave me his merchandise one time. I was rocking it like it's my own, So there's no hard feelings really. I gave him my T-shirt. He was rocking it. I feel like it's just our surroundings also that play a big part. Maybe I go on the internet and I say certain things, and someone goes to him and says, "Hey, you think this or whatever," nonsense. So I'm not someone who responds rationally to anything. Really, I take my time and I look into why someone says something, and I always I'm always open-minded. I never hold anything against anyone because, I've had times where people are attacking me almost every day. Sometimes about things I don't even know. People saying I bought a horse. I'm like, I don't have money to play.
You bought a horse. People
Yeah,
say
awards,
anything.
awards.
Oh, awards.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have money to play like that. Money lying around for me to buy.
Yeah,
So,
So some of these things that you are hearing are just, they're news to you too.
yeah. So when people say certain things, I taught myself not to get hurt or feel. Yeah, so I feel like words are just words.
Okay.
Yeah, they affect people in a different way. I've grown to not take a lot of things too hard.
I mean, but with that whole situation, do you think there's not like a ecosystem where it allows youngins, up and coming rappers, with the established, well-known rappers to get along together without feeling like it's a competition? Because sometimes when you come in, the guy which is at the top doesn't feel you because he sees in the next 3-4 years you kick him out of his spot.
Yeah, man, situation is different, man. A lot of hip hop artists felt that way when I came through. And I always said, hey, no hard feelings, man. I just want to feed my kids. That's it.
Definitely.
And if I beat you to that, hey, I'm sorry. I just wanna. I'm not here to compete.
Yeah.
Even when I was competing and beating people, I wasn't competing.
You were just being you.
Yeah.
Okay, now obviously you had like 2 classic albums, right? Like absolute classics in like the culture and SA hip hop. Now let's talk about your 3rd album, Logan. You dropped Joe Hasselberg, Wave, and Brand New Day, right?
Yeah.
And then the new song Itemba.
Mm-hmm.
So just talk about the build up to Logan and like what's different about it with you doing it yourself compared to the label and everything else like that.
Alright, so this is my brand new album. I named it after my second born son, Logan. It's really, I don't know if I can call it different, but I feel like it's more musical. And like my first album that I named after my firstborn son, baby, I feel like it's gonna, do its job when it comes to impact and just showing people my growth and the fact that I'm a musician. So there's different styles. It's not just trap or rap or whatever. It's just music.
Do you play the marimba though?
Nah.
And to me, it feels like more heartfelt actually. Like it feels, I actually like feel you a bit more,
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's from special. It's from, from special place. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, what's your opinion regarding walking around with like entourage and always being like out with people around you? Doesn't it like come at a cost to you because you have to be the main guy out of everyone? They could be all your age or older than you, but you have to think for all of them.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how the movement is, like with hip hop or trap. There's always people around you as an entourage. Like, how do you handle that? Like, and you still be fine,
Hey, that's a dope question. For me, it's not hard for me to handle that because most people that are around me are sort of grew up around me. Most people that are around me I've known for 10 years plus. So it's easier for me to trust people. It's easier for me to be in certain working environments, with certain people. So it might differ with other people. Some people walk around with people they really don't know like that.
Yeah.
People that are put in place for that job or that are hired for that. Some have bodyguards, security, drivers. Me, I just have homies. You might see some family members here and there. But it's really people who I know, and people who know me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that difficult.
Oh, you handled it well.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah.
And then also the when I felt like they kind of used you to establish themselves in a way, because there was a back and forth when Black Diamond was starting to get well known. There was a back and forth between you two, and they were kind of comparing themselves to you and your impact at the time. And like, what really went down in terms of that? Like, what really caused it? And or is it came to you as like, yo, I don't know what's going on, I'm just hearing these guys talking about me?
Yes, exactly what you just said, the last sentence. I really don't know them boys like that. We've never had a conversation even. When they came through, I just knew them as them boys, big homie, just son. That's it.
Oh, so they been there while you were still there too?
Yeah, during the last few,
towards the end.
Towards the end. But when I started seeing certain words go here and there, I was like, here we go again, man. But at the same time, I was like, hey, this time around, I'll just keep quiet, because I'm tired.
Because also, like, young, if you give them attention, now they feel like they're equals.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were a couple of tweets from you about them. They were, like, you were saying stuff like they were driving your cars or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the tweet was, but like...
Hey, man, I was mad.
You were mad, yeah.
Because, like, how do you talk about me when you don't know me?
Yeah.
You don't really know me. And a lot of people who have so many things to say about me don't know me, like, at all. I hardly chat to people. I'm really just an introvert.
Yeah.
I'm a closed book on purpose.
Definitely.
But people always try to force their way into my life or act like they know this or they know that. But hey, it comes with the job, I guess.
I mean, like, your highs and lows, like, what would you say was your highs so far in your life? Because you're gonna still achieve more, but what was your highs? What would you say was your highs? And then you can talk about what was you saying your low points were, how did you get through them to where you're at right now?
My highs were really, the birth of my two sons, my debut album, just making history, man. Came through. There's people that still can't do what I did till this day. Yes, there are some people that are okay, they're winning here, but that's it. Like, wipe out. You know what I'm saying? You have people who are, like, you get, like, these young boys, they get a SA Hip Hop Award and feel like
They conquered the world.
or they're on the same level as me, or, on the profile, award winning, plus, or, But, hey, kid, you gotta win 20 plus awards or something.
Damn.
Really.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
But, hey, I don't know. I was bad at math at school, but clearly, people are the ones that are bad with math now.
Yeah. So, like, how did you get through, like, the low times, like going through some point where your life where you're like, ish, how do I continue,
And just the fact that your laws were also publicized. You know, most people, we go through our own stuff indoors.
And you don't talk about it.
You were a public figure at the time, so everybody had an opinion.
For sure. Hey, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But these are the kind of things that even like coming up, people ask me if I'm ready for. Like, are you ready for to be exposed like this? For everybody to talk about you. I'm like, hey man, so be it. You know, I'm trying to make a name for myself, and I'm trying to make this paper.
Sure.
So be it.
In 2021, where do you think SA Hip Hop stands?
In 2021, SA Hip Hop is nowhere. But you know, after the album,
Yeah,
After the album come out,
reviving it.
yeah, it's gonna make up for all the lost time, I promise. Yeah.
Alright, cool.
1, 2.